there's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Is that from your perspective? Like a lot of people like to say that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm underweight Burden.
Oh, okay. You're underweight Burden. Yeah, he's gonna. I mean, so you're taking it. He's gonna define it either as a hit or a miss.
Exactly. Like I could see him hitting in a big time way and seeing it burning me, but at his I'm just thinking through like players at cost that have extremely wide ranges of outcomes that if they go to the downside, it can matter, right? Because if I say Travis Hunter, where I think Travis Hunter is a very high ceiling, but if Hunter's a 0, he's a it's not really a story
Let's
in the basketball
go.
season because he was going next to Jalen Naylor, right? So I think Luther Burden, because he can bottom out, and I think he realistically could be like the wide receiver 46 in points per game. I think that is possible. But he could also be the wide receiver 5, you know.
I'm very underweight him. I'm not doing the Luther Burden thing as much as other people.
Yeah, so I would say Burden. For me, a player that I've been drafting a ton of in round 2 that I think is a very interesting conversation point is Devon Achane. Because if you just
I've been jamming Achane too. Yeah, I like
he's
him a lot.
In terms of the first 3 rounds, he's by far and away my most drafted player, and it's not even close. Because the storyline's super interesting with so many moving pieces in the offense and the offense projecting so poorly. But the discount is priced in to an extent where if the expectations were him to repeat what he's done over the back-to-back seasons, he would be in the conversation with Puka Nacua and JSN at the 104, 105, right? So I can see Devon Achane being a massive storyline depending on how that shakes. And then the third guy, somebody I've drafted a considerable amount of, is Tetherall McMillan. But honestly, I don't know if he has top 3 wide receiver in his range of outcomes, so I don't necessarily know.
Yeah, Ted's really interesting. I started the season pretty high on him. Just kind of being year 2, good season. You can squint and see the Drake London. Like, why are we drafting Drake London in the 2nd?
Yeah.
And in the 4th? Like, what's the difference? But Panthers offense doesn't really scream like, oh, gotta have this guy. Anyway,
exactly, which is why it's hard for me to say he's going to define a season. I think he can return value. I think he can be like a low-end wide receiver 1, but I don't know if he can be a top 5 guy. Like I would say, for me, I drafted a ton of McMillan and very little Burden, but I do think Burden probably has a higher ceiling than McMillan just based on their offenses.
Okay, cool. Well, we're drafting from the 10. These are my ranks. We can toggle ADP as well. I am flexible with how we go. I'm going to have you make the first pick for us. And I'm all about unique combos in this thing. I know that's a thing that not every people like. So
with the FlockFantasy.com draft assistant, we have literally a tool to build out unique combos. So I'm about it. I would take Jefferson here if it was me, just because they're going to be such a flat tier of running backs in the 2nd. That I'd prefer going Jefferson, and then whichever one of these running backs, whether it's Achane, Chase Brown, James Cook, make it back to us, I'm cool with them.
Well, Cook would be a real gift, the type of uniqueness you cannot force. Yeah. I have Achane ranked as the 13th best pick. I'm just not going to be bullied off of that because I think people are double counting it where they understand the offense is bad, but also they're ignoring that Tyreek and Waddle are gone, and we're not drafting anyone from that offense really. So,
and also if you look at sportsbook projections, they're projecting to score 1.5 points per game fewer than last year. It's not like they were a good offense last year, and he's still.
Achane goes, so we did it to ourselves. We got Chase Brown, Bowers, Pickens, London, Nico, Hampton.
I'm good with Brown, and I am super interested to hear your take on Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, I mean, my take with Chase Brown I like a lot as well. Just, Bengals offense, pretty – I'm a keep it simple guy, like good offense, give me those players. So the Bengals, the Cowboys. Jeremiah Love is not that. That is not why I am drafting Jeremiah Love. To me, it's this market is different than we've seen since really BBM 2, so a long time now with the running backs being heavy. Jeremiah Love literally went 3rd overall. I think a lot of people are looking at what Genti did last year, and because he flopped at the 1-2 turn, they're like, well, we're not going to do that again with Love. Kind of ignoring that a lot of that was just the Raiders' O-line being so bad. At worst, I think Love will be a weekly upside guy, where the way he wins, and that's the type of players I want in best ball. I want guys who can just win you the week. That's what I think wins you money, advances you in the playoffs, whatnot. And when I watch the Jeremiah Love tape, I see a guy hitting home runs. He's got elite speed. His schedule during the season stinks, but that doesn't matter because his actual fantasy playoff schedule is awesome. So it all comes together where it's like a young, talented guy. And it's a huge tear break after him to me because, like, after Love goes, okay, you got Brees, Kyron, but then pretty quickly it's like some plotters, ETN, Jacobs, Javante, and then you're into like the two and Swift. So he's the end of the tier. I have aggressive rank on him. I do not always just draft players at my ranks. I think it's crazy you can get him in the third. So yeah, I like him for a lot of reasons, and I'm not being afraid of just like Cardinals stink.
Yeah, like I like him in the third a lot. I think middle of the second is tougher for me, but I agree with the sentiment that like whenever I take Love in the live stream, people act like I just drafted the worst team ever when I take him in the third because they are so scared of both Genty flopping as a rookie as well as Bijan flopping as a rookie. But my big thing on it is, yeah, we took those super talented running backs and garbage offenses in round one of their rookie seasons. Jeremiah Love, super talented running back in a garbage offense, but round three is a completely different investment.
And he was the third. I mean, I understand like people are like, oh, this draft class is so bad, but
yeah.
I mean, dude, you went third overall in the real NFL draft, so super talented guy. And we'll see on the Cardinals. Who knows? Like, there's been crazier things to happen than Carson Beck. Maybe he even could be good. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but that's in the range of outcomes for sure. So yeah, Love is actually one of my favorite players.
Fellas.
And I understand it can go bad, but
we're getting
you know, that's a problem for me.
Staying in the offense, what's your take on McBride?
I think he's a jam too. Like, I understand.
We got a lot of similar takes here, my guy. I love McBride in the third.
Yeah, he's not going to be necessarily what he was last year, where people were, or where really he was getting like some touchdowns that he probably didn't deserve just to like go for, because he's never scored touchdowns narrative. But no, I think people are getting overcute just discounting him. And again, it's like they're saying, oh, Carson Beck's going to play, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, my ranks go Kyron, Garrett Wilson, Loveland, the plotters, some wideouts.
Anybody but Loveland here for me. I'm down for Kyron.
Let's do. I have almost no Kyron. Let's do it. You know, for Kyron, it's like I'm a little bit worried with just how much Blake Corum was straight up playing to end the year. At the same time, the Rams are going to be one of the best teams in football, so that's safe. We know Kyron's done it year after year, so that's safe. We know he's going to pass protect at minimum, so he'll be on the field in valuable situations. And maybe the Rams defense is just so good that they have to run the ball more than usual. But I don't know. How
you guys scored the most points in the NFL this year.
Yeah, how do you view the Corum stuff with just like them like essentially sharing?
I would prefer not to go Loveland. Yeah, Tedero is my guy.
Why do you not like Loveland? I think Loveland is the truth as far as just being very good.
I'm fine with you pulling him up here at the turn just because very few Jefferson teams are going to have Loveland. But in general, like how I've been treating my exposures, is I definitely prefer round 3 McBride over round 4 Loveland. So if I'm going to like build some elite tight end teams, I've been trying to do so around McBride, which maybe isn't a good answer, but that's my thought process.
I mean, I like them both. I don't know. I just when you watch Loveland, he's just a little different to me. The way he's like so smooth, and can't really debate with how he ended the year. I don't think that's necessarily him for sure, but the Bears' offense is weird because Caleb was just so weird. Like, he was terrible at some easy stuff, and then he hit all these crazy plays. Like, they're probably like the number one regression team because of that. Like, you know, all these like late wins against the Packers. But if I'm not doing Burden, I'm not doing Rome as much either. Like, Loveland is kind of how I want to play the Bears passing game personally.
Are you drafting Swift?
Yes, I do draft Swift. I'm not like jamming him because there's a lot of wide receivers to like as well. But no, I like Swift a lot more than I like Mungai later.
Can I edit my answer earlier when I was going through my third player that's going to define this season?
Yes, let's go.
The correct answer is Neighbors. I have no idea how it's going to go, but there is no way Neighbors isn't a top 5 storyline when we look back at this year 2 years from now.
Where are you at on him? I am not into him.
So what's your thought process in not being into him? However, prioritizing weekly ceilings in weeks 15 through 17.
My thought process is I have some of him here, but I think he's just like just having done this for so long. I think he might not start on PUP just because like the way the NFL operates is usually when it's like iffy, they don't start on PUP, but then he still won't play till week 6. Like I just think we're gonna get bad news, and he's going to go at the 4-5 turn, and in some places even the 5-6. So
okay, because I've been completely fine drafting him in the 4th with the thought process of, okay, if we want to acknowledge the fact that with these BBM tournaments, or really any best ball style tournament other than the Eliminator, weekly winners, marathon, etc., if the vast majority of the expected value with your points is going to be in the final 3 weeks, like where am I ranking Malik Neighbors in my week 15 wide receiver rankings? Higher than most likely the other wide receivers that go around for.
No.
Yeah, for me, I'm largely not doing the injured guys.
Montgomery.
So, Neighbors, Scatabo,
Henderson.
Judkins even, Kittle, let's make a pick here. My
I
rankings
love Carnell Tate.
Tate. I like the Henderson fall too. I don't know where you're at on that.
Henderson would be more of a unique pick. I'd be down for Henderson, and then we can get a wide receiver on the way back.
Yeah, let's do Tate. Or Henderson, I meant. Let's do Henderson because there's a lot of wideouts to like here. I think this is actually a very interesting group of players. We could throw Mark in this group too, where not all of them are going to hit in the same way, but I do think who you regularly choose when you go wide out at this spot in drafts is going to be very important for how you actually perform this season. Where are you at on this group of wideouts?
Love Tate, like Tyson, and we won't touch Parker Washington.
Parker Washington is one of my favorite players, so we are different on that. By the way, guys, let's make the pick here, then we can talk through it. Before we fired up, I told Mason he has a clean 50% of this team, and he said no, thank you. And then I said, what do you mean? If this team wins, I'm sending you $1 million. And he said, okay, only if we get first. So we got Tate as well, so that's a win-win.
I don't remember saying any of that.
Thank God I've been recording. I will be sending Mason the bin cash. Actually, is what I.
Yeah, I'm going to be hounding you for the $12.50 checking in on this team in week 15.
Well, let's talk about a couple of these picks. First, talk to me about Henderson, Ramondre. Everyone has a different opinion there. To me, I like both. I think they're both just valuable. I think betting on year 2 Henderson is kind of like a no-brainer in a weekly upside game where if he becomes the guy we know what he can be, he doesn't even need to become the guy to give you some good big weeks. So talk to us about how you see that first.
Real quick side note, I was joking. William gets all the equity on the team. But with Henderson, I'm drafting a ton of him. My favorite stat is Henderson has had 3 games with more than 28 fantasy points in his rookie season. Ramondre's about to turn 29, and the dude's had 1 game with 28 or more fantasy points in his entire career. You know? Yeah. So if best ball is about chasing the highest ceiling possible, especially for those final 3 weeks, the bet in my mind is very easy on TreVeyon Henderson. So I've been taking a ton of him in round 5.
Yeah, it's an interesting market because running backs are so expensive, but all these fun running back clicks to me, which I'd say Henderson, Jeremiah Love. I think RJ Harvey is fun. All these guys.
I love the Harvey call.
Yeah, all these guys are just two in. All these guys are falling at price. I think these are fun young guys where I'm not does he still have his legs under him? They're fast, most of them. You know
why? It's because in recent history, none of the young running backs have hit, and the guys that have hit have been the old veterans.
Exactly. It's just reactionary stuff, right?
Yeah. So I actually made a big video about this and did a ton of research looking back in every Underdog Basketball Mania slate. This is a month or 2 ago at this point. Maybe a month ago. But if you go through and look at historical injury data over the past 6 seasons, and also the bust versus league winner rate, say within the first 5 rounds of wide receiver versus running back, last year was the first year that the top drafted running backs stayed healthier than the top drafted wide receivers. And also, almost none of the top drafted running backs last year missed. right? Like, if you wanted to win, you just had to slam running backs and avoid Saquon Barkley.
And that's been the case for a couple years now, actually. Where to the like something I've been thinking about is how I think this is really coming through at the end of drafts is like we used to draft like Dalvin Cook's backup, Alexander Madison, in like the 10th round of best ball drafts, straight up. And now you can get like because these running backs have not been getting hurt, all these handcuffs are free. Where it's like all it's going to take is like Saquon gets hurt, Walker, whoever, it doesn't matter who. A couple of these guys get hurt. These guys define the season. What's going to happen next year? All the handcuffs go here.
Yep. I mean, Emmett Johnson's the player I've spent the most money drafting so far this year. But like Emmett Johnson, Katron Allen, all of those like super late round rookie running backs, I think they're phenomenal round 17 and 18 clicks.
Okay, we're on the clock here. Harvey is here. I don't know. We could kind of take Harvey and almost be done at running back. I like that. Open to anything else as well.
I prefer Sutton and see if we get Harvey on the way back.
Okay, let's do Sutton. You like Sutton more than Pierce, Godwin?
I would maybe make an argument for Pierce, but I'm not going to go either way. I'm not going to.
Yeah, Alec Pierce seems so good. It's just don't love an injured guy with a quarterback off Achilles.
And my thing that I would be thinking through at this point is when we haven't drafted any quarterbacks, any wide receiver that I'm taking, I want to have that quarterback option later on. And I'm fine taking Bo next before he goes.
Absolutely. We do have a lot of quarterbacks still open. We can even go like Stafford with Kyron, so we got the whole world there.
I'll take Jay.
Well, first talk to me about Tate, and then let's circle back to the Jags trio. Tate, to me, I'm not going to say he could be Jamar Chase, but
I don't know.
He went fourth in the draft. He's this super cheap. Cam Ward's probably not that good, but I don't even know how good he has to be. I'm into a highly drafted wide receiver in the 6th round.
I don't know if I would call him like Chase in the range of outcomes. I think almost a better comp for me would be he's Malik Neighbors. Neighbors went at the 2-3 turn his rookie season, and now Tate's going at the 5-6 turn.
It's a pretty egregious price to me, and I think all it will take is some training camp videos, and he's going way up in drafts. So I've had him ranked way ahead of his ADP for a while. Let's see who this guy goes. It goes, wow, Xavier Worthy. RJ Harvey?
Yeah.
I think this running back room is super fun. We got Chase Brown, Kyron, Henderson, Harvey. I like the Henderson-Harvey combo. They also play each other week 17. Jefferson, Tate, and Sutton. Let's talk about the Jags guys. I literally watched the Parker Washington tape before the stream today where I watched all his targets and catches just because, to me, having watched all these football games, something that stuck out to me was like, I just thought Parker Washington was so good. So I wanted to just check the tape just to make sure I'm not delusional. I even posted on Twitter. My takeaways were a ton of his targets were in the middle of the field. This is something I like because, we like in fantasy because you catch in the middle of the field, deep and shallow. There's room. There's a lot of space, right? Guys can run into each other. You can run. He was also being schemed targets. So screens and carries. There was like a ton of carries on film I forgot about. And then there was room for more. Like he was a ton of the passes Trevor just like rifled in there and like bounced off his hand. So hopefully he gets better at that. And then the last point I would say is that Trevor was throwing to him even when he didn't have separation, which I think is good. And he was winning on these balls. The bugaboo is obviously like, how do we view Brian Thomas? And was it injury? Brian Thomas was doing a lot of clear out stuff in the tape I watched. Is he going to now get the middle of the field instead because he's faster or whatever? Talk to us about the Jags guys.
Yeah, that was going to be my question to you, is how much do you think? I think the more interesting player to figure things out is Brian Thomas. Because for me, like, I'm an idiot. I like to keep it stupid simple. Parker Washington has played 3 seasons in his NFL career and has had 2 games with 20 or more fantasy points, right? So I would go through and look at him and go, like, how much of his success at the very end of last season was, one, the Jacksonville Jaguars through the, final 6 weeks or whatever, being one of the best offenses in the NFL, which right now projections have them, I think, as the
I'm honestly shocked at some of like the win totals kind of low on the Jags. Like there is some canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, the like average implied team total, if you go through the entire season for the Jags, right now, I think they are the number 2 regression candidate in the entire NFL. So one, I think the offense is going to get worse. 2, I think there's downside risk with a healthy. If Brian Thomas was derailed last season with injury, who knows? But if that was the case, I think there's downside risk there. And I also think that there's downside risk of maybe Travis Hunter is a good wide receiver, and maybe they get Hunter on the field.
This guy took
So I view Parker Washington again, going into year 4 of his NFL career, has had 2 games of 20 or more fantasy points. He's going to be in an offense that's probably worse than it was last year, and I think that there's a path for him to have a lot more competition.
Let's make our picks here, and then we can finish talking about that. Stafford, Bo, Kyler all stacked for us.
I'm cool to go Bo and then
Worthy.
Kyler on
I'm
the
not a
back.
big fan of Worthy,
Okay.
but
Bo first.
fuck it.
Because we have Sutton and Harvey on this
You
team.
got Sutton and Hart.
Guy
I'm a
took
little
Purdy
uneasy
for
about
what
the
reason?
Bo off injury. I don't really love the Week 17 matchup. So
Hey,
he's
for
kind of a
what
guy
reason,
that's like
bro?
begrudgingly take. But I don't know. How are you thinking about these injured guys?
Well, I'm thinking with Bo, if this team's going to have any shot to win Best Ball Mania, the Denver Broncos probably have to be a pretty good offense. So Bo Nix probably has to be pretty good
Laporta.
for this team.
I mean, the skill players can score both like 15 a game, and they're not why we're winning, but they're helping us win.
I mean, we also have Henderson. We're kind of built around that Denver New England Week 17.
We are stacking an unusual game. Kyler goes. So my choice here would be to go Stafford with
You
Kylan.
took Purdy
It's kind of
from
a
me,
weird
I
stack,
take
but I'm
Pierce
okay
off of
doing
We
that.
can go Stafford and grab a tight end at the very end. I mean, the amount of teams that have Stafford with no Adams or Puka are going to be very small. And it's going to, correct me if I'm wrong, if this is my team only, I'm going 3 quarterbacks for sure. If our first 2 are Nix and Stafford, like I'd be looking at Cam Ward or Bryce Young extremely late. So
I go 2 QB a lot on Underdog, specifically because we have Tet and Tate. I'm very open to adding the third quarterback, and with Bo's injury and our Stafford stack's not that clean. But like, hey, if our out to win $2 million is Kyron has to catch 2 touchdowns, that's not that crazy of an out. Like he does do that.
Well, how I almost view it in terms of like if I was going to break ties in favor of going with 2 quarterbacks this team as opposed to 3, say we had Bo Nix and then we had Stafford paired with both Adams and Puka, then I think we're banking on so many Rams and Broncos points that I'm fine stopping at 2. But when we don't have Puka and Adams, I don't know if our team wins with a legendary Matthew Stafford season, if that makes sense. So, like,
Yeah.
I would almost think we have to play for Stafford to be fine, but not the MVP of the league again. And if that's going to be the case, I think I would rather have, like, Bryce Young or Cam Ward at the very end of the draft.
Well, the way I think about it is you do not need your quarterback to be the reason you win.
Yeah.
Like in week 17, maybe no quarterback eclipses 30 points, right? So if like the highest quarterback scores 29 and we have Bo or Stafford putting up like 17 to 22, whatever, we're losing 7 there. So really like why we win is either going to be because basically our skill players, like these guys, one of these guys needs to absolutely dunk on the other players as far as gapping it. So I definitely often will take Bryson Tate. The Tate price is a little, I mean, it's a little hard to, on Ward, it's a little hard to stomach to me, like the 140s. But the way I usually do this is I just kind of like Ward, I hope he falls a full round because every quarterback will. When I'm like, do I need the third QB? But no, I definitely want to have Ward or Young probably on this team just because we want Tet and Tate. And yeah, just with the Jag stuff, I agree with you. It will come down to how does Brian Thomas do? Like, what is Brian Thomas? So Brian Thomas is a gift either because he's masking just how good Parker Washington is, and Parker Washington's going to be like a top 5 wide receiver in football, or he's a gift because no, Brian Thomas is actually going to get that role, and he's super cheap. All right, we're on the clock here. A lot of players. I like Diggs. We can add Coker for some more Panther stuff.
I would way rather have Diggs over Coker. I never draft Jalen Coker.
Okay, let's go Diggs. I like Coker for weekly upside. I like Diggs just because I think he's undervalued. We do not have any tight ends if we want to take one of the tight ends here. I also, team 3 QB for this. I like Malik Willis a lot, and I don't think he needs to be stacked. Like,
I'd agree with that.
so I'm okay skipping on Ward and Bryce Young and going Malik and being done at QB. I like Ferguson. I like Goddard. Coker. Hunter is here if we want to do that. Tracy. A lot of different ways you can take this. I don't think it's crazy to stop at 4 running backs with this team. Like, usually I'd add a 5th, but we can stop at 4 if we had to.
So I almost never think about bye weeks at all as I go through and draft a team. Does it matter at all when you're determining, do you go with the hyper-fragile build or do you take the 5th running back if 2 of your running backs share the same bye, or is it just
to me it doesn't, because it's just like whatever. I just hope Chase Brown and Harvey's both score 15 plus that week.
Okay.
Let's make our pick real quick here.
I'm down with Willis or Hunter. Up to you.
Let's do Malik. I think Malik is just like way too cheap considering he's a running quarterback. And again, like, one of the things I'm seeing in the market this year, and this happens every year, is there's just a couple offense that like has a stink around them, where, you know, it's just like people don't want the Jets, they don't want the Browns, they don't want the Dolphins, they don't want the Cardinals, so all these guys just kind of fall in drafts. Malik, I think, is actually a really fun third quarterback to add to, like, Stafford, who's not going to give you any running. On the 5th running back, the biggest thing for me is just, like, when we have 4 stable guys, I typically want to be taking a guy who is unlikely to contribute, but if he does contribute, is low owned and probably helping you to win the contest. So like a handcuff. So like Ray Davis, Marshawn Lloyd, maybe Jaden Blue, Katron Allen, like George Lonning. We all have guys we like in this range. But
yeah, I like taking Black in San Francisco.
Black. I like Black. I like James. That one is, I honestly draft both those guys because it's so ambiguous. The team right now, to recap, is Bo Nix, Matthew Stafford, Malik Willis, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, Travion Henderson, R.J. Harvey, Justin Jefferson, Tep McMillan, Carnell Tate, Cortland Sutton, and Stephon Diggs.
Are there any players in the first 2 rounds that you're hard fading, whether it's you don't like them or you just love somebody next to them?
I'm very light on Henry, Saquon. Yeah. I'm pretty light on Ken Walker, but I might change that. I'm pretty light on A.J. Brown, but I might change that. I have some Hampton at the high stakes, kind of smoothing it out, but I'm fading more in the lower stakes. I have less Jefferson than his peers.
If Davis was in the chat, it's funny because whenever I stream with Davis, we have like the exact opposite exposures and takes. Whenever I'm view, I'm like, yep, I'm low on him. I'm low on him. I'm underweight the same guys pretty much. That's hilarious.
You're lower on these kind of like older dudes.
Barkley I don't take often because I prefer HN and Chase Brown. I
drafted Saquon 0 times.
Yeah, I don't take Kenneth Walker very often for the same. Not that like I hate Kenneth Walker in the 2nd round, but it's I'd rather prefer Devon Achane, and Achane goes later.
Well, also to me, for like I see the upside for Walker, but it is a bit steep for a guy who's really never done. Like, we're projecting him to do something he's just never done. Okay.
We have to take Sadiq.
Sadiq, I like a lot, and then there are some.
But yeah, with Kenneth Walker, like he was a RB3 last year, and he's going to a worse offense.
Yeah, the Walker people would point to his weekly speed, and really the Andy Reid pass catching is like what. Yeah. But you kind of need him to be that, or basically like you need him to be James Cook on the Chiefs. And maybe
I think that is a great call out.
And maybe he is. Like, maybe the Chiefs have a come to Jesus moment and they're like, you know what? We need to change. But he's just kind of not been that. Like, he literally has not eclipsed 200 fantasy points in like 5 years.
Yeah. Like, again, it's not that I hate him in the 2nd round or anything, but I feel like it's a ton of projection to put him ahead of some of the other running backs that we've just seen it do it before. And they have had a massive gap between the 2 of them in recent years.
Not everyone's on the Sadiq train. For me, it's just draft capital. I like Strange and Juwan if you want to get a 2nd tight end here.
Up to you. I wanted Sadiq a ton in the last one, but after that, I don't
think. I like both a lot, honestly. I think Strange is just like better than people think. And Juwan just straight up crushed last year, 903. Like showed weekly upside. They did draft the tight end, but could definitely see him adding to that. I just like pieces of the Jags, even though the market's not as into it. I like their Week 17 matchup as well.
What do you think of Rodriguez versus Tootin?
I draft both, especially because Rodriguez is like free falling in drafts. He went 127 in this one, but it's not uncommon to see him go in the 12th round plus. So Tootin to me is a guy who I think you just absolutely have to mix him in, because if he hits his upside, he is like legit maybe 50% advance rate. Like if it is like run heavy Jags, which I've seen some rumblings that their O-line is like one of the worst run blocking O-lines in the league, so that's a bit bad. But I mean, the dude was good at the goal line. He's super fast, so if he's getting a bunch of work, like if he gets the ETN role, he is a smash. But maybe it's Chris Rodriguez, so I draft him too, and I'm not worried about the foot injury. I think that will go away.
The other backfields I want to ask, is it dumb for me to just
where are you at on those guys first? Are you
I've been drafting more Rodriguez over Tootin. I mean, I'm fine with both of them at cost, but I think there are a couple backfields that you can take shots on, and like the downside risk is so minimal in comparison to just like what you can get from
the Commanders guys. Like I like Jakrowski Merritt a lot. I know
that's what I wanted to ask you. Where do you stand with the Washington and Vikings running backs?
Okay, the Vikings ones, I just don't really see the value of doing it that often. It's just not been good with Kevin O'Connell. I don't draft Claiborne ever. Like I think that's just a zero. I try not to draft these guys who like are most likely zeros but could be something, such as Claiborne. I didn't draft Monungai last year. Okay, I missed on like 3 usable weeks, right? Yeah. I don't draft Jonah Coleman. But yeah, I like Krosky Merritt, just year 2. I draft some Rashad White as well. The Vikings guys I will draft, but I want them way after the Commanders backfield. Let's see, we're up here. I like AJ Barner. I also like Wicks. Let's do Malik Washington because we have Malik. How's that sound?
Sounds good with me.
Do you have any leans on these Dolphins guys? Are you? It's not really an ambiguity I wade into too often, but do you?
I drafted a lot of Dulcich when he was going in round 18, but in terms of the Miami wide receivers, I haven't taken many.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. And also, I think it's a sneaky spot that Debo or Diggs could be like, yeah, let's go land there for a year and hang out in Miami.
Yeah, I don't see Stephon Diggs complaining about living in Miami.
No, at all. What were the other backfields? I think we missed on Terrence Ferguson, which is okay. I like AJ Barner a lot as a third tight end. I do think this team needs a third tight end. Gunnar Helm,
especially if we have like Kenyon Sadiq. Well, I've drafted a lot of Sadiq. I think he could give us big plays with his athleticism, and I think he's going to get on the field due to his draft capital. There are going to be a lot of 0 weeks.
Absolutely. That's how I view it too. Yeah. Like I just like him because I think if he works out, he's a little Kyle Pittsy, and he's super cheap, right?
Yeah. So I like taking the old crusty guys with him that we're gonna be out there and have a role.
I think AJ Barner's exciting, man. He put a good season out last year, and sneakily he could be their goal line back. Like he could, like in a crazy season, he just rushes in 8 touchdowns for you.
That happens to I'm gonna be sad with my Jadarian Price shares.
Well. Like I draft Price too, but I'm kind of more viewing him as like a home run hitter because AJ Barner was their sneak guy last year, and if Price, Holani, Emmanuel Wilson, who it's most likely going to be, like if these guys are not showing enough there, I could see Barner punching in 5 to 7 touchdowns.
Have you drafted Alani?
I do. Like every week, I feel like I read a good quote about him, and every week he is there in the 18 to 20 round. I draft him some. I'm not like, oh yes, Holani, but I feel I need to have some of him.
How do you split your drafts between DK and Underdog?
I max both, but
okay.
As far as, are you asking like, do I draft this guy on DK?
No, I'm sorry. I just mean like, what percentage of your drafts are you doing on DK? What percentage are you doing on Underdog? And like, what do you feel the differences are between the two?
Well, I maxed both the large field contests. I've never reached the DK Millie Maker finals, but this is the year. 3 million to first. Anyways, like there's the classic, like, oh, I like Khalil Shakir better on DK. I like Dalton Schultz better on DK. Like the guys who are going to catch some balls. But
Some balls.
and what's the big difference? Do you not draft that much on DK or at all?
I've never done it.
Oh my
I'm
god!
brand
That
new.
video would do good views for you. Like you should get permission from Underdog to get one video a year where you're like, I drafted on DraftKings for the first time.
I guarantee
what's the difference there?
it's not worth it for me to send that text to Underdog.
Probably not. But what's the difference is you got a lot more stone idiots on DraftKings doing crazy things.
Okay.
So like a combo that a Lamb Jefferson team that exists in DK for sure.
Yeah.
You'll just be able to get some crazy combos, which I've always said people think they see that and they're like, oh, I should always draft there. People are worse. That's actually not true as far as winning the contest, because if you think about it, we cannot control for, like, if you need to win on DK by drafting with 3 idiots, I can't control for that. That's random luck, right? So I kind of like that on Underdog. I don't need to worry about there not being Jefferson Gibbs teams or whatever, right?
Yeah. That's funny.
I've
never thought about it that way.
Okay, we're up on the clock here.
What's up with the Christian Kirk rank?
We'll talk about that. I like him. Jordan James, Kalen Black, Sean Tucker.
Well, I didn't know we were going to take a 5th running back. Let's at least take one more wide receiver here.
Let's take Sean Tucker first because he gives us week 17 correlation with Stafford in a very weird stack we have here where we got Stafford, Tucker, and Kyron for all the money. And then wide receiver. Yeah, I'm kind of on an island with this Kirk ranking, but to me, I just think people are overconfident that Deshaun Stribling is for sure the number 3 guy there. There's also the possibility that Ricky Pearsall is not that good at football. And we are a couple months removed from Christian Kirk going for 144-1 in the real NFL playoffs. I think he dealt with a bad Texan system and he can win deep. And I think Purdy is like by far one of the best deep throwers in the NFL. I get the vibe that this could be a Purdy MVP type season. So Kirk for sure could be a 0, but who else could you not say that about at this?
Are you taking Keon Commandole?
Yes, of course. Pat Bryant, I think, makes sense for this specific team because we have Bo.
Yeah, so
there's also I like Booty. I like Coleman.
I've been taking Booty hoping for a trade because Booty,
trade or not,
look how many points he scored last year.
He had so many just usable weeks straight up. You want to do Booty instead of Pat?
No, we can do Pat. We have a stack. In our team, I know you said like we have a weird Rams Bucks thing going on. I think our main thing is Broncos Pats.
There's always the chance Diggs lands in Buffalo for another stack. Probably not, but team finishes up. Bo, Stafford, Malik, Chase Brown, Kyron, Henderson, Harvey, Tucker, Jefferson, Tate, Sutton, Diggs, Washington, Bryant, Sadiq, Strange, and Barner. What is your rank out of 10 for this team?
I like it. Do I see it winning turn? Nothing.
And you're kicked. Just kidding.
I think it's a good team. I just don't think we had anything crazy happen to us. We got a pretty good Trevion Henderson fall for a Jefferson team, but it seemed like kind of a chalk draft.
Yeah, it's pretty chalky. I do think not everyone is going to be into these offenses like the Panthers and the Titans, where really this team will go as far as I think these early running backs take us.
And that's actually now you think about it. If Henderson's almost exclusively going early round 5, Tate's like going late round 5, there may not be a ton of Henderson Tate teams.
Well, really, it's just like, some people, it's not their cup of tea's not going to be taking Ted. And Ted's like falling, so he's, So I like the team overall. Seems reasonable. Seems pretty safe. We did the typical 3-5-7-3, one of the safest structures you can do. Regardless, Mason, this was a ton of fun, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to do this. We got you out in this tight hour. Tell the people anything you want, whether it's life advice, fantasy football advice, content you got coming down the pipeline. Go ahead.
Look up Flock Fantasy on YouTube and you'll find me. Keep it short and brief.
If you know my channel and you don't know that, I am shocked you are here, but beautiful mind. Appreciate you folks. Have a wonderful day. I will be back live tomorrow early. See you later.
I just drafted Jahmyr Gibbs at the 101, but that's not too interesting. We actually got pick 1 in last night's live stream. Talked a lot about Gibbs versus Bijan. What is worth discussing right now is going to be Malik Neighbors avoids the pup list, and he's going to be good to go for camp. Now, am I reading this as Malik Neighbors is for sure playing week 1 of the NFL season? No, I don't think it's likely that Malik Neighbors is going to be good to go for the first week. But out of the two alternatives, out of him being put on PUP like Zach Charbonnet before anything gets kicked off, or him avoiding it for the start of camp, this is clearly the better alternative. If there's ever a sign that's positive for an injury, it's this one. So for me, I actually did move Malik Neighbors up my rankings. I previously had Malik Neighbors at the end of the 3rd round in my fantasy rankings, so I'm sure you all had seen. I've been drafting